What's poppin', people? It's Dante, currently standing on top of the cliff here, looking out towards the Schuylkill River. And I believe this to be the most beautiful spot in the city of Philadelphia. And so, as I walk here along the outskirts of the city, I'm thinking about solitude and why I thrive in solitude. This is something I've been thinking about a lot recently because essentially for the past 2 years I've been in isolation purposely, just sort of embracing my new creative process of photographing in black and white, thinking, reading, writing, making videos, doing my own thing. And I think this is where I genuinely feel best. And maybe, man, while we are social creatures, we also perhaps align our souls, our bodies best when in our own space. I think maybe chaos, while it is something I enjoy as a street photographer, there is something about the city that does become draining of your energy when you're surrounded by the noise, when you're surrounded by, homelessness, drug addicts, like whatever's going on in the city these days. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like you step outside your home and you go for a brief walk and you're already being like bombarded with just people screaming, people peeing on the ground. Like actually yesterday or 2 days ago rather, I was walking home and on a very, in the center of the city, right, in Center City, what was it, 16th and JFK, 17th and JFK, like right by the Comcast towers, right? So essentially the center of town, right, where all the wealthy business people are coming out of the offices, whatever. This guy is just peeing inside of the bus stop, like right like right on the ground. It's like a huge puddle of piss just on the ground, just like leaking, like running down the sidewalk. It's like, what is going on? And there was like a woman that was actually sitting there waiting for the bus. And yeah, it's astonishing. It's like, man, humans are just these creatures, aren't we? It's fascinating actually. We're not necessarily as domesticated as it seems, huh? Yeah, maybe this sort of behavior is due to the lack of respect for the land itself. I think about the way in which man in the city doesn't really own anything. It seems like when you live in a city, most people rent, some people own condos, some people have businesses in their neighborhoods. But genuinely, most people are sort of coming into the city to work in an office, they go home, and most inhabitants of cities don't actually own anything, right? If they own anything, it's pretty much just a small sliver of land, not necessarily feeling tied down to it. And so when this happens at scale, and most people come to the city, they treat it like it's, I don't know, they treat it like it's, what do they say? Like, are you raised in a pig pen? Or what was that saying? You're raised in a pigsty? Like, they treat it like it's like they're like a fucking, like a bathroom where people just shit and piss everywhere, and nobody really cleans up, nobody really cares. And I think it's inevitable when you don't feel that tie to the land itself, where you don't feel like you have any ownership of anything. And I think what I've realized as a volunteer in the Peace Corps when I was living in Zambia, Africa, this is funny because I oftentimes use this experience to draw all of my sort of wisdom from, because it really has shaped my paradigm. And so when you live in a village, you have this hierarchy between man or the land, or sorry, you have this hierarchy between God, tribe, and land. And so with this hierarchy, essentially the individual within the community, within the tribe, they feel as though they share this common space, this common village, and have ownership over it. And so because of that, and because they align themselves under one God, under the same church, they share the same moral values as each other, and they actually strive to become the greatest versions of themselves. They strive to keep the community clean, they strive to keep the community thriving. And if somebody acts up, if somebody does something wrong, they usually scold that person. They'll probably have some sort of disciplinary action that they didn't take, which is usually actually like force, right? It's usually physical force. And I'm not saying this is something we need to do. I'm saying this because this is what I saw. They would basically beat the shit out of somebody if they were to act up and sort of like do something wrong. And I think because of that, everyone was kind of in line and check. And maybe that's where I draw this conclusion that tyranny is coming.